All right, so today we're going to take a deep dive into a digital community platform called Linkspreed.
Okay.
And we're looking specifically at this post from April 5th, 2025, so about a year out from their launch. And it's really just kind of like a, look back at year one,
Right.
What they've accomplished and kind of, what they've learned and where they're going. But I think our mission here should be to really kind of figure out what this tells us about building independent online platforms.
Like it.
Especially for those of us who, maybe are exploring alternatives to some of the mainstream options.
Yeah, and I think this anniversary post gives us like a real world look at, what it actually takes to launch and grow a platform outside of that, venture capital rush.
Totally.
It's not, series A, B, C, D funding rounds. It's just some people with an idea and they're going for it.
Right. They bootstrapped this thing.
Yeah.
So let's get into some of the details here.
Yeah.
So they launched a year ago, April 5th, 2024, and they've gone from, just an idea to a functioning company with a team of 4 people.
Wow.
And they did all that without any outside investment.
That's pretty impressive.
Which is a pretty different path than a lot of tech startups take.
Yeah, absolutely.
So what do you make of that approach?
I think what's really fascinating here is their emphasis on this, passion, grit, and relentless drive. And I think that suggests a deep commitment to their vision. Instead of chasing after the biggest funding round they can get,
right,
they're really focused on this kind of more sustainable organic growth model.
Yeah, it seems like they're really building something they really believe in.
Exactly, yeah.
And they also talk about significant improvements that they've made to their core product, talking about functionality, design, user value.
Right.
They're also, talking about building a solid operational infrastructure.
Yeah.
So it's not just about getting the thing launched.
That's the long game.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. It's about, it's about maintaining it and improving it.
Continuous development.
Right.
Having that really stable foundation, I think, is so crucial for long-term viability.
Totally.
And the fact that they're highlighting, improvements across the board.
Yeah.
Design functionality, to me, that indicates that they're actively listening to users and, really building for the future.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's a really important point because if you don't listen to your users, you're not going to have a product for very long.
You're going to be building in a vacuum.
Exactly. Yeah. Okay, so this is where I think it gets really interesting. They talk about actively working to automate what they call Web4 technologies.
Oh, Web4.
Okay. They're serious about it being more than just like a buzzword. They're talking about real, impactful solutions to redefine digital interaction.
Interesting.
So for you, what might Web4 look like in this context?
Yeah, so when I hear Web4, I kind of think about that next evolution of the internet, right? Yeah. So think maybe increased decentralization, potentially more integration of AI, and potentially a greater emphasis on user data ownership and control.
Right, like really putting the users in control of their data.
Exactly. Yeah. And the fact that Linkspreed is focusing on this early on suggests that they might be aiming to build a platform with these principles at its core.
Right.
Which would be, pretty significant departure from a lot of existing social networks.
Huge. Yeah. And, it's not like they're just kind of sitting back and, resting on their laurels. They say their product portfolio is growing and they talk about this rock solid infrastructure that they've built. So it seems like they're really thinking about both the user experience and what's happening behind the scenes.
Absolutely. I think you can't have one without the other.
Right.
But you need that robust infrastructure to provide stability.
Totally.
To be able to innovate and expand. And a growing product portfolio shows ambition and, a desire to keep offering more value to users.
Right. And that's what keeps people coming back.
That's exactly.
Right. So it seems like based on all this, Linkspreed sees itself as kind of like this, emerging, serious, independent player in the alternative social network space.
Interesting.
Proving that a small focused team can make real progress sustainably. So for those of you out there who are, looking at different online communities, this suggests that there is a viable model.
Yeah, and I think if we kind of connect this to the bigger picture, Linkspreed's first year really highlights the potential for niche platforms that are built on strong principles, community focus, even without the massive resources of these big tech companies.
Right.
It's really inspiring, I think.
Absolutely.
It kind of raises this question, Considering Linkspreed's emphasis on independence and, all this future tech, what does this mean for how we build and participate in online communities long term?
Yeah.
Especially these alternatives to, Facebook and Twitter and Instagram continue to emerge and experiment with new technologies.
It's like, what kind of digital spaces are we going to be inhabiting, in the years to come?
Exactly. Yeah.
I think that's a great question to leave everyone with. So thanks for joining us for this deep dive into Linkspreed, and we'll see you next time.
Thanks for having me.